is.
My favorite one is would you rather look like Jar Jar Binks and sound normal, or sound like Jar Jar Binks and look normal? And you can't kill yourself. That's my favorite one.
I would look like Jar Jar because I guarantee you there's someone with a fetish out there.
Probably, yeah. I mean, someone's probably into Jar Jar.
Yeah.
Jar Jar's a hot piece of meat right there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You find any good would you rather's?
No, but I can ask them and we can talk about them so that
Okay.
we don't have silence.
Okay. Ask one.
Would you rather have okay, well, actually I'm going to divert from this one immediately because it brings up a question. Because it's the age-old question of like what if you could have any superpower, what superpower would you want to have?
Is that
And
the
I've
question?
asked. Yeah,
I think we've
that's the
asked this
question
before,
I'm asking.
like on the
I, th- I
podcast.
I don't think we have on the
We've asked
podcast.
something similar. I know because I'm getting huge deja vu vibes.
I probably have asked you this individually off the show before.
Probably,
I've asked everybody this.
if I could have any superpower, like I can make one up, and it's not. I'm
Mm,
not gonna say
yeah,
like power to do everything. I'm not gonna do
yeah. I was
that.
about to say, within reason.
I want to be able to manipulate gravity, the gravity of objects, because every object
Mm,
contains gravity. I want to be able to increase or decrease that.
mm. That's the first time I've ever heard anyone answer with that.
Well, it's dope, right? Like I could increase the gravity of
Yeah.
this can, and then it will start sucking things towards it, or crush under its own gravity. So I could
Right.
point at a guy and go, "Haha, you're dead," and he'd be like, "What do you mean?" Smash him into a ball. But like a bad guy, like I would fight terrorists or something. I don't know.
That's a very aggressive answer from
It
you.
is, but it would be
Not what I was
cool. Like
expecting.
I'm going off of like think about it like in a superhero world, right? Where I'm fighting like
Right.
this guy wants to nuke the universe or some shit like that.
Right.
I would just point at him and, make him into a meatball.
Mm.
But also I could change my own gravity to be smaller so I can like jump over like cars and buildings and shit. Like moon gravity. I could do that. Not too much, right?
Right.
Fly up. Well, I guess that
Well,
doesn't work. I would have to change the Earth's gravity. It's I'd have to finagle it. I'd have to figure it out.
yeah.
Mainly, the coolest part is like making things implode under their own weight or suck things into it.
You're that's a very that's like a lot more you're supposed to be the good one between us. You're
But
supposed to
it's
be the innocent
cool. It's a
pure one.
hypotheticals. In real life, I wouldn't make people meatballs. But this hypothetical, if I
I don't
had to
know.
pick one,
You're making me a little nervous here.
if, you're
Are
telling
you
me
okay?
if you had a power that was like you could point at a guy and you would implode. If you were like fighting crime, you wouldn't pick the insta. It's essentially a win button. You have the
I
win
don't
button.
I don't want the win button because that takes the fun out of it. And two, that's a lot, dude. I
That's
don't even
cool.
believe in I don't even support like the death penalty.
You're not gonna make people meatballs.
I'm not gonna fight like a bank robber and turn him into a meatball because he wanted some money.
I wouldn't do it against a bank robber. It would be like
Who would you be using it on then?
supervillains want to blow up the world. I don't know. Meatball. Also, the only issue. Oh,
Ugh.
I could turn an object into a black hole.
Okay.
That'd be sick. That would destroy the whole world.
That would
But
destroy everything.
that'd be sick though. Dude,
Right.
that'd be such a cool power.
Right.
Gravity
You
would
make
be
me
cool.
nervous. You make me really nervous.
Point
Now.
big black holes everywhere.
I'm actually
Could
terrified
could
of you.
gravity have air? Or air have gravity, I mean? Sorry. If that's the case, could you increase the gravity of the air around you?
I feel
Which
like there has to be a limit
would
to
that
your
rip you apart?
power. I feel like it's like one of those things where it's like,
Ooh, I have a new answer. I have a new answer.
okay,
I want the ability to lock onto someone. So if I look at someone and I like in my brain think lock on, if I shoot anything, throw anything, if I like, I want to be able to make things hit someone without
mhm,
having to like say like there's a car driving and there's a person. I lock onto them, I touch the car and it sucks to them. Or like I throw a baseball, right? and I'm like,
Right.
okay, direct it to that guy's bat. Boom, it would go, hit the bat. Would that be cool? Dude, I would be I'm essentially hacking life. I'd be the best baseball player.
Oh my God. Not off that hypothetical, because if you're pitching, you don't want it to hit their bat.
No, I mean, I would be like on the sidelines. Oh yeah, you're right. Shit. How would I?
Well, no, you could bet ass loads of money on this like underdog beating this really good team, so you get the best line,
I could.
and then you auto lock. But you just said it's part of it is you have to touch it.
Yeah, that's the only issue because I can't. If I didn't have to touch it, that'd be a little too, like
Dude, you
God
can't
tier.
you can't start with turning anyone to meatballs out of your mind and then be like, well, I don't want to make myself too powerful.
Yeah, but there was a. I was like thinking about the meatball one, and it's way too OP at the end of the day. And
Yeah.
I feel like if you do that, it's like it's on par with like, I'm invincible. You can't hurt me. It's like, come on,
Yeah.
that's stupid. So I'm like trying to think of one that's less. I think too broadly, and I don't constrict it. That's the issue with that hypothetical is you can make it. It's too easy to make yourself God, because you
Yeah.
could just be too broad in your answer, and now you can, I don't know, make the sun expand at will. There we go. Oh, another one. Change an object's temperature. If you touch an object, if you touch it and let go, like you don't have to hold it, but if you touch an object, you can change its temperature to whatever temperature you want.
Right.
So you can melt a man or turn them into ice.
Can you
Poke them and they just burst into flames.
Is this like therapy for you?
No,
Are
I'm
you,
just
are you like exercising some demons here?
I'm thinking about like honestly it'd be so cool, like badass, like if you saw like when I think of these hypotheticals, my first thought is that'd be a sick like you see it in a comic book.
Right.
I do not go to like what would I actually practically want because I don't actually fucking know. Like in this hypothetical, are there villains I have to fight?
I you're doing the thing that I do where you're thinking too much about this.
It's because it's a cool prompt.
This was just what power would you do? What do you like? What power would you want? You don't have
What
to think
power
about
would
it deeply.
I want?
Yes.
Oh, that makes it so much harder.
It's
to,
that
like-
was the first question.
Yeah, but I failed to acknowledge that you specified what would I want. I was just thinking about what would be a cool power in general. Honestly,
Yeah.
if I could like pick right now, and I didn't
That's
have time to
what I'm
sit and
asking.
consider it for 7 hours, like I was just like picking it, probably just like super strength.
Okay.
Because then I would just
Thank you.
I would lift cars just casually all the time. Just be like, "Hey guys, want to see something cool?" Lifts a bus. I got a bus. I king of party tricks, right?
Yeah.
What about you?
Telekinesis.
Telekinesis. Oh, you could
Yeah.
lift a car without touching it.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah, you go to a party, you're like, hey, you guys want to see something cool? And you lift a car. And I'm like, hey, you want to see something even
Lifts the car.
cooler? Lift the car from across
That's
the
part
room.
of the bit. It's like I
Yeah.
impress them once and you take it even further and then we get them into our cult.
Yeah,
Then you go,
exactly.
you can do this too if you join our club.
You join our fucking pyramid scheme.
Our pyramid scheme, yeah. You just have to sell 3 credit cards, and then each person below you sells 3 credit cards, and the profit kind of goes up the chain, right?
Right. And then we'll tell you our tricks to how to lift cars with your mind.
Heck
Your
yeah.
hands.
That'd be dope. Ooh, I'm going to change mine.
Okay.
Teleportation.
Teleportation is such a high tier power. It's definitely up there in like, I really want this, but I always default to telekinesis.
I would teleport. You could fly with teleportation if you just rapidly teleport like a foot ahead of you, ahead and up, and you just do it fast enough.
I'd like to think. Okay, so that raises. I have 2 responses to this. First one, I Flight is a big one for me as well, but I think with telekinesis, if I can move myself with my mind, I could just like levitate, like fucking
Yeah,
Magneto
like
style or whatever.
Chronicle.
Like Chronicle, yes. Otherwise, like I could just like I could just lift, like if I have to lift an object I can't control humans or can't control myself, I could just like stand on top of a
A
fucking
rock or something.
rock, yeah, a rock and lift that.
That's cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
but secondly, with that, I feel like there has to be some sort of like cost. So
Yeah.
I feel like rapidly teleporting yourself just over and over again would like be really draining physically.
Is there anything physical happening? Is it an organ? Did your organ make you teleport? Like, how does
I
that
like
work?
I like to think there's some sort of energy component to it.
Most likely.
Otherwise it's like where does the scaling
It's like a
stop?
mana bar, like in a
Yeah.
video game. You just run out. Actually, I think it would be cooler, not more practical or more useful, but it would be a cooler limitation to see, like in a comic book or something. You can
Mhm.
only teleport objects. I like to
Mm.
like imagine like you're like a dude who could teleport objects, and you can also throw knives. And so you're
Mhm.
like you're doing superpower fighting. You're fighting a bad guy. You can
Right.
like throw the knife at the bad guy, and it's coming at him, and then it teleports behind him in the back of the head.
Nothing personnel, kid.
Yeah, like that'd be sick. You could teleport. You could throw. Like I just imagine like throwing a rock at someone, and then they're like, okay, I'm gonna dodge it, and then it teleports and hits them in the side of the head instead of the front. That'd be a
I feel
cool
like
thing to see in like a power, like a comic book.
I feel like that would be interesting, but it would be like really lame.
Well, I like powers with like really strict limitations because I'm a JoJo fan who wouldn't. I'm coming from stands, which
Do you
if your
have you
blood is type O and it's a Tuesday, all of the ketchup in the world turns into seltzer water. That type of shit. So like I love ultra limited powers that require the user to think really hard about it.
I'm never gonna watch JoJo's if
You,
that's what that's like.
only parts like 7 and 8 which are not animated. Especially 8.
Right. That's kind of like why I kind of liked I watched have you seen My Hero Academia?
I have.
That's kind of like why I kind of liked it a lot early on.
Hmm.
I watched like the first two seasons. But I feel like a lot of their quirks are very like it's very specific. Some of them aren't, of course. There's the gravity manipulation, but there's also like dude can pull sticky balls off of his like
Dude,
head.
dude rolled a
And
bad hand, yeah. Or
yeah,
rolled a bad
it's like
hand.
I feel like a lot of the powers in that is like there's the one dude who can pull like tape or whatever from himself.
Yeah, also sucks. Guy
I
with a
kind
tail,
of
that's my
love
favorite.
it. Guy with a tail.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's like what
that's
is it's
great.
a tail.
I,
There we go. It's also gross looking. So
hey, you guys want to see my quirk? It's a tail.
yeah, woo.
Like, oh yeah, I can like blow shit up with my hands. Oh, I can like summon anything I want out of myself. Oh, I can like summon super like crazy power that just grows exponentially. I got a tail.
Dude, pour one out. I liked if you look at the background characters of that show, there's like a dude whose head is a Lego. It's like, what is his power? Is he just a Lego? Is that his power?
Just a Lego.
Like for real. In the later seasons, there's some cool powers though. Like that one dude, you wouldn't know, because I don't think it's in the earlier ones. There's a dude who, he's like black, like the color black, like
Right.
it's Vanta Black is his name,
Mm.
and he can go into shadows. He can like loop into a shadow. You can't see him anymore. He's just loop
That's
in
cool.
there, and so he'll like will get in someone's shadow, and they're just like, whoop, he's out of it now. It's like really cool, and he can like travel really fast in them if the sun like is setting, and he's in that area where it's dark. He's essentially like super speed, super
Zoom.
fast. Yeah, or that one guy who can phase through objects like it's no clip. That's a really good one.
I've seen that guy.
And he
I
like
have
pops
seen that
out
guy.
with a high
Yeah.
speed, and he gets naked. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
He gets naked. That's the most important part.
Well, his clothes fall off.
No, I know how it works.
Yeah, those that the whole like super limited, like it does one thing and nothing else. I like that. Not
Right.
like Superman who can fly, super strong, bulletproof. It's like cool, but this guy can only do this, and he's really good at doing that one thing. I like that.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's my view of it.
Right.
The whole power problem.
So I was thinking about this before we hopped in the call, and I forgot to mention it. I was going to start the episode with it, but I completely forgot until just now.
Okay.
Um, so I wanted to get back into D&D,
Oh yeah.
but it's not like I want to do it with you and friends, but um, with us being so busy, it's not something that we can really do right now.
Yeah.
I mean, we barely have enough time for the content we try to create. Um, but I'm flashing back to when we first tried it, me, you, and Max,
Yep.
and how like I so to set the scene for the audience, we had a very very bare bones basic ass story, uh, where like I was a runaway like noble and you were my bodyguard,
Yeah.
and we were just traveling, and we didn't really have much to go off of after outside of that because Max was DMing and it was his first game, and it was your first time in D&D,
Mm-hmm.
and it was my like third time ever trying D&D. So we were all very new to it, and we're going through this forest, and I completely subverted all of Max's expectations.
Ruined his
Like
everything.
I ruined it all
That was the most
because
fun about that campaign. It was fucking
because
with his story.
I fucking he was like setting up dragons and shit, and I had super high charisma. I spoke dragon, and I had a spell that could force people to bend to my will.
Oh my god.
And so
I couldn't
I
remember
just
that.
I rolled so high. Like I remember one charisma check he made me do. I roll like with all my modifiers, I rolled like a 30, which is just fucking insane. Um, and I kind of felt bad about it because I completely derailed everything
Yeah,
and
but it was
ruined
funny.
his whole plan. But one, it was funny, and two, if I hadn't, we would have fucking got destroyed. He set an actual real life dragon in the fucking forest on us when we were level 2.
Yeah, I remember that.
If I hadn't completely ruined all of his plans, we would have died,
Yeah.
and the campaign would just be over.
Hmm. It
So
was, yeah,
I don't feel as bad about it.
very imbalanced. Well, it was just like first time ever DMing, so.
Yeah. I remember he was talk we were talking about him setting up encounters and shit, and he was like, as he was talking about numbers and how many of what enemies and what type of enemies, he was like, well, on this it says this encounter is like it recommends this amount for an encounter, recommends these guys for an encounter, and I was like, those recommendations are based off of parties of like 5 people, and it was
Yeah.
just me and you.
Yeah.
I was like, Max, you're actually going to kill us in this fucking second session.
Yeah, I almost died, I think once or twice too.
Yeah.
Against like the only reason you didn't is because your stats were so crazy or something, like I forgot what
The
exactly.
the only reason I didn't die is because I had the shield spell
Oh yeah, I
that
remember that.
automatic that would if anytime I was about to get hit, it would automatically raise my AC up to like 20 or
Hmm.
21 or some shit. That was the only reason I survived is because I just couldn't get hit. And you were getting your ass beat every single encounter, and I was
Yeah.
just like, can't touch me, can't touch me.
I
Shield spell.
it was it's funny because every time I've played any D&D or made a character, I've never made a character that can use any form of magic,
Right.
solely because one, I think magic's boring. I don't like it. And
Mhm.
two, it's too complicated in D&D for my small rodent mind. I'm like it's like 6 dice and I'm like uh uh Roll for this and then that and then this. So I could use this 4 times a day, but this one too and this one. It's like I can't do it. I can't do it.
Bro,
It's too much.
just if you go, I want to be looking at your face as you read the sorcerers page on like D&D wiki or whatever, and you start getting into like sorcery points. Just seeing you be like, what the fuck?
I
Because
would
oh
read
my
it
god, it's
with
so
a
good.
100% straight face, look at you, and go, I don't understand a word this said. Because that's why. Like when I play Skyrim, I've
Yeah,
never played a magic character ever, and I've owned this game since it came out, and I've played it probably 1,000 times. Never, I've done the same like 3 different classes because I never touch magic. I can't stand. I find magic boring. Shooting magic from your hands is not interesting to me. If it's
I
like I can summon a sword, that's slightly cooler, but even then.
I one, you should play a Hexblade Warlock. Because he is like he's basically what you the summoning the sword thing. That's kind of part of his thing.
Hmm.
But he's like he's the most bare bones like spellcaster there is. Uh, he's mostly just like a fighter, but with like a couple little spells to
Yeah.
enhance or whatever. I am the exact opposite of you. I think a sword and shield is boring as fuck. I love magic, and I'm always like, I love all thinking about all the different the complexities of like, if I use this spell and this spell and this spell at the same time, I can create this thing to happen, and I love I always use magic characters. I'm the exact opposite. I always use magic.
I think it's because I see D&D as a video game with no video game. Where it's
Right.
like there are parameters, there are rules and things in play, which there are obviously, but there's a lot of like freedom that I just don't recognize because I don't I I'm very new to that concept. So
Hmm.
like you're like talking about like I can mix these two things, like I would never have even consider that. To me it's I have this and I have that and I have this. And then also why I like using like weapons and shit is because like when you get like a nat 20 or something on an attack and it's like you cleave the man in half. It's like the most
Mm.
satisfying shit ever. It's like slice him, rip him in two, and it's like the coolest shit.
Yeah.
Um, the most interesting character I ever made was for a campaign that we didn't even get through one session of, and I'm really disappointed I didn't get to use it. But it was like a lizard man with a halberd.
God. Dude, I loved my character so much. He was this super scummy tiefling. I gave him like he had wings. He was so fucking cool. I
Hmm.
had like made a miniature of him online and I was gonna order it. And I was like, I had this super deep backstory. I had sent Max like essays of backstory and lore for that character. And then yeah, we never used him.
Didn't we do one thing where like we introduced like the town or something, or was that for your world that you set up? There
No,
was
we
two back to back that we started and then dropped immediately.
right. We so for that one, we got in and we got like 5 minutes in. Max was setting up the backstory or like just setting the scene, and then 5 minutes in, I think we all kind of just collectively went, I don't think this is working.
I think so. I think that was the one where I was the lizard man. I don't remember. I think it
Yeah,
was Dragonborn or something. Are they
yeah,
do they look like monster? Like do they look like lizards?
yeah, yeah. You were the
That
Dragonborn.
whoever that guy is, that I want to redo that character because I had like he was an honorable dragon guy and he used like a weapon you never usually see in like fantasy, which is like the halberd. Which I was like,
Yeah,
he's super big, right? Because he's a dragon and he's got a big ass fucking. It's so cool, and it's like that's like next time I play, no matter what, I'm making that my character
I
because it's such a cool idea.
I'm absolutely with you, and I think our two characters that we were setting up for that would be absolutely fucking perfect together. One, because we're both like you're a lizard man, and
Yeah,
I'm an actual demon, so we would look like outsiders no matter where we went.
yeah,
But also, as you like have described him, we would be polar opposites. It'd be
yeah.
you being this upstanding, honorable good guy, and me being the scummiest of all scumbags.
It would have been so. The interactions would have been hilarious. Like,
Oh yeah.
can I loot this guy for all he's worth, or like con him out? And I'd be like, no, that's bad. Like that'd be such a cool dynamic.
Yeah.
Too bad. Too bad
We
that
need
fell off.
if we have fucking if we get time, we should. So we did some campaigns just with us and our friends.
Hmm.
Um, by the way, we're reaching the slightly we're getting close to the end point,
Yeah.
but I'm actually gonna if it's cool with you, I'm gonna let it run over a little bit so you can cut out that part where we just sat and went, this is shit for
Yeah.
like five straight
I'll
minutes.
go through it. This time I'm sorry I missed that thing in the last episode, by the way.
It's fine.
I will sit through it and cut out most of that garbo. But yeah.
All right.
What were you saying?
So getting back into it. So we've done some campaigns that were just us, and we've done some campaigns where I actually went onto Reddit, and there's a subreddit called r/LFG, which stands for
Looking for
looking for
group.
group.
Yep.
Yeah, and it's just people who want to play D&D but don't have a group, so they make posts on there, and they're like, hey, I'm starting up a campaign. I want people to join, and that's how I got. I think you only did one, right, with us.
I did one, and it was with me, you, Max, and then people I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I joined two, but we together, me, you, and Max did one, with a couple people, and um, yeah, that was cool, but it was a very different experience, and I found in that though, I think it was really good for me to continue growing, but it really showed why I feel like obviously you enjoy some of aspects of D&D because you've done it a few times
I
and you are expressing the fact that if you do it again, you have a character set in mind.
I loved what I did. The only issue is I have crippling social anxiety. So if one
Right.
talking to new people like randos on the internet, I don't even do voice chat in Call of Duty, bro. I nuh. And two, I have also linked to the anxiety is like I have a lot of troubles with like getting into character seriously
Mm.
because it's like I feel awkward. But if I jumped over those hurdles, I would be in it like so hard. I love making. I was that weirdo on the playground at recess with my friend going like sword fights with fakes. Like that was
Oh
like
yeah.
my shit. So I love this stuff.
I have a funny side story that I'm gonna just set aside and we're gonna talk about in a second. Sticking with D&D, um, I feel like that's the number one thing I want to see more out of you. I guess I feel like I'm a coach and you're a player, and I'm like, you know what I want to see out of you?
Put me in, coach.
I want I want to see you start to role play more
Yeah,
and get into your character. I want to hear you. If I ever hear you actually speak in a voice,
I
in like a
did
character
for
voice, I'll
Bonlin.
be so excited.
I did for Bonlin.
Yeah, but 90% of
said
your
two
dialogue,
words.
yeah, your dialogue was,
Well, a lot of it was you running the show, and I just followed you. That was
yeah,
also part of that whole like dynamic we had. It kind of limited me too, but yeah, I know what you mean.
yeah, like you, yeah, as Bonlin, who was the name of your dwarf barbarian bodyguard of my character, in the very first campaign we did, you you didn't make any decisions whatsoever,
No, I did not.
and in the campaign, and like I I'm not saying that in like a bad way because one, it was your first time playing D&D as
I
far as
was
I know.
mainly using that as a way to experience the systems because I had no clue what was going on 80% of the time when it comes to like roll your dice. But yeah,
Yeah, and it was also like you said that kind of fit in with the characters.
yeah.
Uh, but you started doing. I love you played a ranger
Grom
named
Costal.
Rom Costal
Name
in.
generator. Thank that on the internet right there.
Hey, that's what it takes. You played Grom
I
in a
liked Grom.
campaign we did.
Grom's a homie.
I liked Grom too. And you started. There were a couple times. I feel like our DM for that, a guy named Hugh, the homie. I felt like he did a really good job of trying to make every character seem important,
That
and
was
so I
very
really
much not important to the plotline in any capacity.
to the plot line. No, but there were times where him and I tried to do it anytime I recognized it, but we would be like, "Hey, this is something Grom is good at. Let's ask
Mhm.
him."
The
Like
only also
tracking and traveling and stuff
I
like that.
didn't really know another. I'm very new, so
Mhm.
like I was also like so they'd have to remind me like, oh, you can do. I was like, oh, you're right, I can't.
Right.
But yeah, if I recognize, there was a couple times where I was like trying to help, and I would do something, and then they'd go, okay, you did this, and then continue with the story, and don't even acknowledge that I like looked for footprints,
Mhm.
which was like, okay, I guess I did that at a wrong time. I don't know.
I want to see you get into character more because I think you're gonna really enjoy it if you start actually like doing voices, getting into character, start thinking like your character.
My go-to voice is the same one every time though, and that's it always sounds like some dude who's like an egotistical asshole. Where I like, because I'm like, oh, it's medieval times, right? Because it's D&D, it's like ancient. So I go,
Right.
hello. No, what would it be like well, I do say, like I do that bullshit. That's my go-to literally every fucking time. It would sound the same every campaign and every character because I don't have very many like voices outside of.
You, look, I'm 100% with you. Every single character I ever make is just some like gritty English accent.
Yeah,
It's always the same exact accent
it's a
because
very
like
poor type of thing you talk about to hit your bond. The bow and arrow, you see, is a for shy, for far. Like that kind of bullshit, which wouldn't fit like my lizard man in any capacity.
uh
He would have to talk like a very esteemed gentleman because he's a very proper man, like
hey,
that.
there you go. There's a character voice.
Yeah, there we go. I think
We
I'm.
need to we need to get that. We need to get that set up.
Yeah, I have to get over the hurdles of not being able to talk to people, which
Yeah.
I'm better at. Dude, I used to be so bad. I could not talk to anyone outside of like known friends.
Mm.
You know how to improve that?
Start
Work at
talking.
Walmart.
Work at
Because
Walmart.
you're fucking forced to talk to people
Right.
who are dumber than a box of rocks on like a daily basis. So it
Right.
forces you to like out of your comfort zone every day and talking to people like not in like a have a nice day, like a yeah, but that's not how it works kind of way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So pro tip there.
Yeah. Also, theater classes. Take theater classes.
Mm,
That'll get you over your fear of speaking.
I don't
Right
like
quick.
that is a no go. I'm telling you that ain't happening. I hate the art of theater. Not a fan. Not a fan.
All
Yeah,
right.
that whole genre of things makes me very uncomfortable, and I cannot tell you why. I don't know.
Do you like movies and TV shows?
Yeah, and I would never act in them. Would never do
Yeah,
it.
but it's like the basis of like
Yeah, I'm talking about like doing it. Like I would never act. That whole
sure.
process I don't like. Watching, I can watch movies and TV, and I'm not like, oh, I'm so uncomfortable.
Well, I mean,
I'm not
you're
like
like
crippled.
I hate everything to do with theater.
I'm
It's
talking about
like
like the production of theater, like acting, directing. I hate telling people what to do. Producing requires a lot. I love. That's why I like working cameras because everyone they tell me what to do, when to do it, and that's all I have to do. It's great.
I don't think me and you could be any more different
When it comes to that, yes,
when it
very
comes
much
to
so.
like, so many things we talk about. It's a fucking wonder why like we get along.
Well, I mean, opposites attract magnets, right? Whoop, whoop. North and
Sure.
south, that kind of shit.
Right.
Have you ever thought about how magnets are like magic, right?
I'm wearing these rings right here are magnetic, by the way, and
Epic.
It's fun to play with them.
Can you like push it down and let go and it shoots off your finger?
They're
That'd be
no,
cool.
no, but if I do, right now I have them set where they'll pull to each other and stick together.
Oh,
But if I take one off and flip it around, they do not
repel.
like to stick together. They
What a
like
wonder that
slide
is.
off.
Who would have thunk it? Magnets
True.
not stick to each other when you turn them
True.
around?
True. You literally said,
I
"Did you
know.
ever think about how magnets are
I know,
magic?"
but you
Now
hyped
you're
it up.
giving me now you're giving me shit
You
about
hyped it up like when I take it off and I
you
do this, I was expecting like it to like do something. Like
you
make a
brought
noise
up
or something.
you brought up magnets, and I was like, "Oh, that's funny that he's bringing up magnets. I have magnetic rings." And now you're just giving me shit. I
I,
don't I don't want to talk anymore.
because I
I'm never
made
gonna
fun of the
I'm
fact that
never
you
gonna
hyped up the like you
I'm never
hyped it
going to
up.
I'm never going to put myself out there on a limb ever again.
You did a Lucas story. I don't know if you know what a Lucas story is, but you pretty much did a
I
Lucas
wasn't
story
even
there.
trying to hype it up. I was just trying to continue the conversation because
I
you were talking about magnets.
I know. I was bringing up magnets not as a point to address, but like a little side note that magnets are cool. But
I think magnets are cool too, and
fucking
I tried to
magnets, how
express
do
how
they
cool they
work?
are, and you're giving me shit for it.
I didn't give you shit for the magnets and how you think they're cool and have cool rings that are magnets. I was bringing up the shit that the way you worded your story sounded like it was going to be some, like it was gonna like light up or something. It's like, yo, it's gonna be something
Actually,
cool.
when I flip it over and start sticking it down my ring, my whole finger explodes.
I like that seems like something it'd be like it'd be that it's like you're like
It's not doing it now.
oh, are they not very powerful?
No, they're not at all. But
There's probably a hazard if they were.
it's like it'll slide down my finger
That's cool.
without me touching it.
Magnets are
Anyway,
cool. We have deviated from what we were talking about. You were saying something too, and I like cut you off and talked about magnets. Like I don't even know anymore. Fucking magnets. How do
uh,
they work?
fucking magnets. I'm done. I'm going home.
You're already home.
Thank you so much for watching. If you made it
Oh,
this
oh.
far, subscribe. What, do you have something to say?
What about that story you pushed aside? You want to tell
I
that real
don't.
quick?
What story?
You said you made you think of a story when you were talking about D&D.
Oh, yeah, no, it's because you said you were one of the kids that would pretend to play like swords with your other friend, right?
Yeah.
That made me think of I had a friend who used to come over to my house a lot
Mm-hmm.
when I was growing up. We played a lot of Call of Duty Zombies.
Yeah.
And when we were like outside, just enjoying being outside,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we would pretend to spawn in and have pistols. And then
Fuck.
I would pretend to go over and buy the M14 off the wall, and he would pretend to go buy a door, and I would pretend to hit the mystery box, and we would go through an entire like game of Call of Duty Zombies in our minds and like keep everything together with like I know exactly what two weapons I have. I know what perks I have. I know what I can do. Like keep it like fucking imagination is weird.
uh, I can. So if my friend might be watching, the one who I did this with at the time, in elementary school during recess, we used to play this game called like Sunburn. I don't remember if it was. I think it was called Sunburn. It was just Sunburn or Sunburnt, and it was we had this whole lore right of this world we've created, and it was like if you're in the sun, it like burns and mutates you into a monster. So you have to
Mm,
stay in the shade, but like you can put your arm in, and your arm burns and mutates into a monster arm. So
okay.
like that was the world, and that was like it. We just established a world, and we would play within that world we established, and it was the Sunburn world, and that was like our game we played. And it did
That's
had
awesome.
there were no like story, there was no plot to this make believe game. It was we just say in this magic brain world we've created, if you're in the sun, you turn into a little monster,
That's amazing.
and
I
it was
love that so
it was
much.
great. That's my contribution.
Hey,
Oh,
fun fact, Waz is playing League of Legends right now.
you even want to say that name? It summons a dark force when you say that. It's like saying Voldemort.
We're, we're we're gonna tell that story someday.
I thought we already have.
I don't think we've told the story of Waz.
Well, Thank God that's not his actual name. Don't want to dox this guy. Yeah. I say we
Uh,
save that for a later date.
yeah, I was planning on it. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it this far, love you. Hit the subscribe button. I mean, you watched us for this long anyway, and we recorded like fucking a while. It's gonna be a long episode, depending on how much you cut out. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. You know the YouTube stuff, like subscribe, comment, all that bullshit. Drew, do you have anything to say before we let the peeps go?
Um, Next week, be there. Special Halloween episode. It'll be cool.
Be there or be square.
Yeah, well, you'll literally turn into a square. You'll
Weird.
morph into a cube.
The cube.
It'll be the
All
meatball. Meat cube.
Be there or Drew's gonna turn you into a human meatball.
Yes. Adios.
All right, deuces.
Deuces.